when you were playing with the Real Tones and you backed up Solomon Burke. And so
Oh
you guys
yeah.
were doing Sam Cooke and Don Gibson songs and Wilson Pickett, Joe Tex and stuff. Did you know how to play in that idiom already, or did you have to sort of learn to do that?
Well, the band that I was playing, that I mean, I wasn't called out of the blue to play with that band. The record was, and I think it originally came out on Rounder, was Solomon Burke and the Real Tones. We thought of ourselves at the time as kind of R&B purists, but in fact, what we kind of were was a punk R&B band. We played at CBGB's, we played, in Clubland, Hurrahs, and all these the new clubs that were popping up in the early 80s, the beginning of the Velvet Rope phenomenon. So we played at a bunch of those, which is, all those clubs. That Velvet Rope was originally designed to protect women and queer club goers from the aggression of single straight males,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Well, it quickly became a thing it became a weapon in the army of the snobbish. But anyways, to get back to the music. So, I mean, I'd had a long history of being interested in R&B. Like the first song that we learned in my first junior high school rock band was Booker T and the MG's Green Onions, and the second song we learned was Midnight Hour by Wilson Pickett. I'd also played with brother Jack McDuff, a soul jazz organist, and I'd also played with right around the time as I joined that band, I think I toured with Wilson Pickett. I got into that band because I knew Crusher Tyrone Green, who was his drummer, into Wilson's band. And I very happily didn't stay in Wilson's band beyond that 1 month tour. I mean, not happily because of the music, an amazing musician, but let's just say it was a very rough circuit. Let's just say he was violent. He was a violent.
Oh, really?
He was a violent abuse, a great musician, fantastic musician, and a violent, abusive employer.
Wow.
To put it in demystified terms, My childhood was spent within a mile of Newark, and so I listened to Newark Radio, which included a lot of soul music,
Yeah.
But I don't want to overstate the case. Like as a young person, I didn't have some fantastic taste. Like, I mean, when my junior high school rock band covered Keep Me Hanging On, we did the Vanilla Fudge versions, and we did play Inagata Devita, and we thought it was cool. So, I don't want to give my I don't want to come off like some kind of John Belushi blues brother. I was like every other kid growing up in New Jersey, but that's the whole point, is that every other kid growing up in New Jersey who listened to pop music radio, which included the Rolling Stones, also included Aretha Franklin, and also included, great soul artists, Sam Cooke and Wilson Pickett and the great soul artists. You didn't have to listen to a specialized channel to get that.
Right. The bandwidth wasn't so narrow in terms of the popular form.
Right. They wrote top 40 hits.
Yeah.
And it was played on radio for dumb kids like me. Okay. So coming into that band, I already had like a big huge love of Black American, great Black music, including soul music. So that was a great band for me.
And it wasn't like you were having to learn a whole new way of playing. That was already part of your vocabulary. So
before we backed up, we wound up backing up outside artists like Solomon Burke. The Real Tones started out backing up a singer called Brenda Bergman, who is still around. Great singer, great comedian. The band broke up because of, common, what's described in the jazz literature as health issues. Okay. And that's all I'm going to say, because, it was a great band, and I'm sorry we never made a record. The Real Tones, minus Brenda, started backing up other artists. The band eventually morphed into a band called the Uptown Horns. We backed up Chuck Berry. We backed up Rufus Thomas, Carla Thomas, Syl Johnson, and other artists. Like,
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, we played behind Rufus Thomas at the Mud Club.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That's, he was wearing his cape, if I remember correct. So no, and it was a fantastic experience. So by the time we recorded that record, Soul Alive, with Solomon Burke, I had really been immersing myself. That was my first commercially available recording.